Today, I'll be talking about my daily schedule. Hi, teacher friends. Welcome back to the Adapted Classroom, and welcome back to another episode of How I Adapt That. My first tip is to write in your established times. These are things that are set in stone and won't change, like arrival, dismissal, breakfast, and lunch. I would also collaborate with your nurses and your therapists, your SLPs, PTs, and OTs, and schedule in those therapy and medical needs first. In my experience, OTs, PTs, speech therapists typically have a much larger caseload than teachers do, and so it's much easier for me to fit my schedule around theirs than for them to fit their schedule around mine. Medical needs are also very important in my classroom. Medical needs ranging from trachs, G-tubes, asthma medication. I don't want to mess with that schedule, so I collaborate with all the specialists first, and then I build my schedule around their schedules. Next, I write in the must-haves. Things that you need to get done in the day but are more flexible. So things like circle time, math time, ELA time, center time. And then add in the fun stuff. For me, in my classroom, that's Friday Fun Day, where we do things like science, social studies, art, cooking, and adapted PE. So I want to go over the daily schedule in my classroom, but before I do that, I want to give a disclaimer. Almost all of my students are working towards independence in their daily living skills. And so we are encouraging and building that independence. So I build in time in our schedule for them to work on the independence. Rather than have my staff do things for them, my students are building that independence. So these are things like hygiene, things like walking, standing, sitting, feeding themselves. These are all daily independent living skills that our students are working towards. During a whole group activity, I'm giving the students an opportunity to participate meaningfully using their AAC devices. So I'm giving them wait time before I proceed. I'm giving them the opportunity to work on their sitting skills and sit upright. I'm giving them the opportunity to walk to the board and write their answer on the board. And sometimes this can take 1 minute and sometimes that can take 5 minutes. During transition times, it's not a quick, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to get onto the carpet so we can do our next activity. It's very much, okay, we're transitioning from this activity to this activity, and we're giving some students the opportunity to stand longer in their standers, giving the opportunity to use their gait trainers to walk to the next activity. And sometimes that takes 5 minutes and sometimes that takes 15 minutes. So I build that time into our schedule. So it might seem like we're not doing a lot throughout the day in my daily schedule, but please keep in mind that we take more time for things just because my students are building that independence, and that takes time. So I'm going to go over my schedule, and it has typically stayed the same throughout the years, but of course, depending on the needs of the students, our staffing, their medical needs, and their therapy needs, our schedule can be more flexible and change. So we start school at 8 a.m. Some students go and have breakfast. For students who do not eat by mouth, they are working on free choice activities. This can be switch play activities. This can be their IEP goals. We have IEP bins for every student. So we put things in that bin that are related to their IEP goals. And so during downtime and free choice time, any staff can go to that bin and pull out activities for students to work on. We're also working on hygiene during this time. After that, at 9:10, we start our circle time. Circle time lasts about 30 minutes. We go over a variety of songs, starting with a greeting, and then we go into months of the year, days of the week, colors, the weather. We go over our calendar. We go over our attendance. So that takes us about 30 minutes. We get into adapted mobility equipment for students that need it, and we go out to recess. And this is another opportunity for students to work on their mobility goals as well as their communication goals with their peers on the playground. Recess lasts about 15 minutes, and then we have about a 15-minute transition time. So students go and meet their hygiene needs after recess, and some students have some downtime because they don't need to use the restroom. We give them the option to play with sensory toys, play with cause and effect toys, or work on IEP goals during this downtime. Also read a story. Sometimes the staff like to read stories to the students. After recess and after our transition time, then we have a whole group lesson, which is always a ULS ELA lesson. Typically, it's a read aloud, and then we break into centers. And the activities that go along with these centers are ULS curriculum-based activities. So they can be comprehension questions, they can be journals, They can be a graphic organizer, telling of the story. It's about 30 minutes for centers, and that takes us into lunch. For the first 30 minutes of lunch, students are eating. For the next 30 minutes, they're having lunch recess inside, watching a movie, or outside, playing with their peers on the playground. It depends on our staffing that day. And then I go to lunch. When I come back from lunch, students are building independence towards hygiene. It can take any student between 5 to 20 minutes to meet their hygiene needs. So while some students are in the restroom, the other students have free choice and downtime. And again, we turn down the music, we turn down the lights, and they can have switch play, they can read a story with staff, they can have sensory play, they can be in our calm down corner. After hygiene, downtime, and transition time, then we do another whole group lesson, and this varies. We can do a ULS math lesson. We can do a news to you, which is another part of the ULS curriculum where we talk about the news, the daily news, and typically ULS has a fun activity that goes along with that. Some days we go to library, some days we go to music. So we have a paraprofessional who is hard of hearing, and she is proficient in ASL, and she will teach a lesson on sign language for the class. After that, lastly, we do our closing circle right before dismissal. Our closing circle just has a bunch of goodbye songs. So while the students are listening or participating with the goodbye songs, myself and my staff are getting the students ready to go home. I'm writing home a letter to each parent to let them know how their student did that day. All of the students in my class are non-speaking, so it's very important for me to write a note home to the parents to let them know how their day went, since their child is unable to go home and tell their parents. That's my schedule for the day. I hope that helped. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with more tips on how you can adapt your classroom to fit the needs of your students. Bye!